Welcome back. You are watching News Center. Hyundai India plans to end the festive season with an 8 to 10% growth in retail sales. The auto major reported a 15% growth in its domestic segment after selling more than 68,000 units in October. I caught up with Tarun Garg, Chief Operating Officer for Sales and Marketing at Hyundai, and I began by asking him about the key drivers aiding the company's growth path.
As we know that the key driver for the domestic market was the festive season, which kicked off from 15th of October. I think all of us, especially in the automobile industry, wait for the festival season, especially, Navratri, Dussehra, and going forward into Dhanteras and Diwali. So that was one. The second was, if you see last 2 years, we were all bogged down because of the semiconductor shortage. There was hardly any stock at the dealership. There was a lot of pending bookings and backlog. So which meant that a customer who decided to buy in the festival could not actually book and get the delivery. But this year is different. We're all, the semiconductor situation is behind us. The inventory levels are very optimum. So all these factors, I think, really helped us to post this growth. And as you said, domestic market growth of 15% is something which we have seen after a long, long time. Yeah.
Right. If I speak about festive growth specifically, till now, how would that be compared to last year?
Yeah, so the festive started with the Onam, and we had a growth of about 9 to 10% in Onam as compared to last year. And when I said this, last year, you must understand, was a very, very good year. In fact, it was the highest ever year for the Indian auto industry and for Hyundai as well. So on that, a growth of 8 to 9% was good. Then in the Ganesh, again, we had a growth of about 8.5%. And this Dussehra, if we see 10 days from first Navratri till Dussehra, we delivered more than 30,000 vehicles, which were as against 28,000 last year. So again, you can see that 8 to 9% growth. So I think it's all adding up together, because when we see year till date, also January to October, as far as Hyundai is concerned, we are at a growth of 9.5%, and industry is at a growth of 9%. And festive is in line with that growth. And I'm hoping that this calendar year, now that only 2 months are left, Hyundai should end up with somewhere close to 8.5%, and industry should end up with 7.5%, which is, of course, much better than when we started the year with. I don't know whether you remember, Parikshit, that when we started this year, all of us thought that because we had a great 22 and there were so many headwinds going around, probably this year would be somewhere around 5 to 6%. But to end now, or to looking at a figure of 7.5%, it feels very good.
Okay, and how many cars? You said 30,000 cars delivered in 10 days of Navratri to Dussehra. How many could you now deliver up till Diwali and Bhai Dooj?
Look, I think we're quite optimistic. We are sitting on an inventory of 3 weeks, which is very optimum. So to put it in numbers, the inventory level is about 39,000 at the beginning of November, and Dhanteras and Diwali. So we are looking at another 13 days of sales. So numbers, it's very, very difficult to predict, because like I said, now it is also about the customer booking and taking delivery because of the good stock levels. But I think this 8 to 9% growth in retails until Diwali is something which we are definitely confident about.
Right. And in terms of capacity utilization, where are you currently? You said that the semiconductor and overall supply situation is much better.
Yeah. So two things. If you see Hyundai numbers, Q1, we were doing an average of about 49,000 per month. Q2, again, 49,000 per month because we work on a calendar year. And then, as we had informed you, in July, we added capacity about 50,000 a year. So Q3 average moved up from 49,000 per month to 53,000 per month. And now in October, we did 55,000. So I think it has been a very good sequential growth. Capacity utilization is now close to 100%. And the numbers on the supply side, I explained. On the demand side, it is the extra, which is really adding on to the numbers. We are doing an average of about 8,000 a month. And we have received more than 90,000 bookings already for this model, which has been a great success with the customers. So I think going forward, we can really look at maintaining this number of 50,000 plus. But one thing I like to caution here, for November and December, for the industry as well as for the Hyundai, I think the wholesale numbers will be much more muted, because now everybody will look to clear off the inventory, and so that we can really start the new year at a inventory which is less than 15 days. So I think we can look at maybe a very low single-digit growth in wholesale, especially in the month of November. So this is something which we must factor in when we are planning ahead.
Okay, now just to ask you about more product launches for next year, which are the kind of segments that you would like to focus on in order to grow your market share? We have been seeing very strong performances by Tata Motors. Mahindra and Maruti Suzuki. Maruti Suzuki specifically has made a strong comeback with some of its new SUV models. So what will be your plan and strategy to increase market share next year?
So if you see, Parikshit, 2023 was a very, very critical year for Hyundai. If you remember, we started with Ioniq 5 launch in the Auto Expo. We had the new Nios, we had the new Aura, then we had the Verna. The sedan segment, everybody was saying that sedan segment is not growing, and we said that we will take the segment leadership. I'm very happy to report that Verna has been able to take a segment leadership. The volumes have almost doubled over what we were doing. So great success. Then we had the Exter. We all know that what it has done to the entry-level SUV segment. And this year, like I mentioned, our growth is higher than the industry, and which means that we will add probably 0.1% to our market share. I think we are entering new year 24 with a lot of positivity and optimism. And I think with Hyundai, you can always look for model refreshes, new models. So while I would not like to comment on exactly which segments, but you can see that whenever we see opportunity, we enter a segment. So Exter was one, a very clear micro SUV segment which was vacant for us, and we said that the segment will double, and actually it has doubled. The Verna segment, again, like I mentioned, Tucson, we have a segment leadership. Creta, we have a segment leadership. So I think we are really looking at not only new models, but new technologies, electric vehicles, Ioniq 5. Now, more than 950 vehicles have been delivered this year. I think we've already announced that we are going to enter, all kinds of segments, primarily SUVs, very clearly, because they are the flavor. And we are already sitting at a SUV contribution of 60% in the IC space. So going forward, we believe that more SUVs in the EV space as well will help us to gather momentum, and of course, going forward, make a very, very significant presence in India. We believe that by 2030, probably 20 to 25% of the market will be EVs, and we are really working to introduce more and more models in every segment, and of course, coupled with the localization of the battery packs, so that the price is also very reasonable.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. More news and updates continue right here.